Hey guys, so we're back again with another reading, and this one is all about what would a tarot reader say about your situation. So we're going to see what's going on in your life and what solutions for whatever problems you have, what's kind of guidance spirit wants to give you, what's going on in your life. We're going to tap down into all of it, and we're going to use some ancient tarot techniques and go pretty deep. So my favorite kind of reading are the deep ones, so I'm excited for this one. And I do want to mention that I have my Patreon with additional readings. So if you like my reading style, you can definitely check that out. The last one I posted is all about what is changing in your life. So it's a great one to check in with. If you like this reading and you like the style of it, then that's kind of more on that subject. So definitely check it out. Link in my description for that. And if you really like my reading style, you can also get a private reading from me. I do one-on-one readings. I'm pretty much booked this month. I think there's a couple spots left, but there's more spots next month. So go ahead, get your reservation in there, and link is also in my description for that. So with that being said, if it's your first pick a card reading, you want to go towards the one your energy feels called to and drawn to. It should be kind of pulling you in. A great thing to do is to ground yourself, take a breath, kind of relax before picking, and then see which one your energy goes to, but don't overthink it too much. Often it's going to be your first instinct and you really can't go wrong. Whichever you choose will have the message for you, so trust that process. So now I'm going to show you guys the order of each of the piles. We are starting off with pile number 1, then we have number 2, number 3, and number 4. So with that being said, if you guys need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we are going to go ahead and jump into pile 1. Hey pile 1, so if you guys picked this pyrite crystal, this is going to be your reading. So for your reading today, we are actually doing a very traditional Celtic cross and really getting down deep. So we are starting off with pile 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and all of those mean different things, and I'll kind of go through them as we go. But starting off, I can tell that you guys have been feeling it lately. We got the 3 of Swords reversed, so it feels like you're upset. That's a very deep, especially combined with the 9 of Swords, which is what's crossing you. The 3 of Swords will be your current situation, what's currently going on, and then this is going to be what's afflicting you. And it feels like some of you guys can't sleep. You're having sleepless nights. You're really worried about this. So these are serious problems. It doesn't just feel like, oh, run-of-the-mill stress. It feels like you guys really are going through it. And possibly, again, it is affecting your sleep. It's to the level where you can't really get a full night's rest. Whatever's going on, it might be actual like problems with your sleep. I don't know. But whatever it is, it feels like you guys are up late, worried, stressed out, and kind of trying to process what to do about it. Then we have what's causing this situation, and with the Knight of Wands reversed, Spirit is saying that some of you guys haven't actually spoken up about this situation. Maybe some of you guys didn't in the past. Maybe you're unlearning that now, and that's kind of the vibe I'm getting for you guys, is like some of this was caused by you not taking steps earlier to avoid it. Almost like you saw it coming, but you didn't want to admit it. Like, I think so many of us feel that way. When we see a difficult situation, we want to look on the bright side. We want to pretend like it's all going to work out. And Spirit is kind of saying like, maybe this needs to be addressed more strongly, or maybe, well, we'll talk about what is behind you, which is the Queen of Cups. And so what I'm getting from these being combined is some of you guys are leaving behind an energy of being a bit of a people pleaser. You are putting it in the past where you're not going to, maybe some of you guys sacrificed your own needs, your own wants, because other people got annoyed by them. Maybe other people tried to even gaslight you and say like, oh, like, it's not a problem, or like you're overreacting or something like that. Maybe there are people in the past that, you know, they like you as long as you're very accommodating to them. They like you as long as you put on a smile and are like, it's not a problem, it's fine. And a lot of empaths and a lot of intuitive people can do that. They feel the pain of others. And so in order to avoid that, they'll let that person be as cruel to them as they could possibly be without standing up for themselves, because they can sense that a lot of the dysfunctional behavior is motivated by pain, and they want to kind of look on the bright side and try to help that person rather than cutting them off when they should, rather than being like, I don't care that you're in pain, you're acting like a problem, and this needs to stop. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter why it's happening. At a certain point, it's just a period, point blank, it needs to be changed. If you're acting in a horrible way, I'm sorry if it's because of whatever, but that's on you at a certain level. And a lot of empaths have a hard time with that, and they kind of see the best. And with that Queen of Wands reversed, I'm getting that a lot of you guys give people the benefit of the doubt. You're nurturing to them when maybe they don't deserve that nurturing. And I feel like you guys are finally stepping out from this, and you're finally being like, you know what? I don't really care about what you think. I care about what I think. I have to look after me. And keep in mind that I think a lot of spiritual empathic people have a really hard time with that. They have a really hard time actually putting their foot down, putting down boundaries. They will go to bat for someone else, but when it comes to their own life, they'll just kind of take whatever. You know what I mean? They will become like this warrior defender for someone else. But when it comes to their wants, their needs, their desires, they have no problem just shoving that in like the back corner of their mind and just being like, no, never mind. I don't want that. But they do want it. They do want whatever it may be, but they'll sacrifice it to make someone else happy. And that's what I'm getting for some of you guys is like, Spirit's like, you kind of had a role in this, because it's almost like whatever this situation is, it should have been addressed a long time ago. And it was like at the back of your minds, like constantly, I feel. And I think that's how Spirit works, is like, they give us warnings before it turns into like the full thing. Like what comes to my mind is a friend and I went to, we were supposed to work out last week, but I'll tell you the story, because we went to go for our walk. We were going to go for this beautiful little scenic walk. But where we live, there's a lot of like summer storms. And so we could already, he was like, wait, what's going on in the sky? And we look up, there's a big cloud, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's probably gonna rain. So we're driving to the trail, and we're just like, we could just tell it was gonna rain. So what did we do? We decided to pack it in, go grab a drink, which we were gonna go do after the walk. We were gonna walk along the water. It was gonna be really pretty, but we were like, you know what? We'll just skip that and go grab a drink. So as we're leaving the car, we park and everything, and like this huge gust of wind is blowing through the street area and like blowing everything out of the way to the point where I had trouble opening my door. So we're like, oh my gosh, it's coming. So then we of course run inside, and in maybe 10, 15 minutes, it's like a monsoon outside, just pouring rain. But at that point, we were comfortable inside. We both ordered martinis. We had a little appetizers and hors d'oeuvres to choose from. So we were comfortable and cozy in the warmth, right? But so much of the time in our life, we start getting those warning signals. We start seeing the rain clouds. We start, feeling a drizzle or feeling the wind blowing really strong. But we have this path in our mind that's supposed to happen, right? Like, I'm supposed to do this. It's supposed to work out. We could have been like, well, we wanted to work out. We both had wanted and been looking forward to going on this beautiful little walk because it's very scenic. But we knew the right thing to do was to change our plans. And I think so much of the time, that's how like Spirit works as well. They give you little indications. You get little notices, but it's really easy to kind of override that and to kind of push through and hope for the best. And I feel like some of you guys do that, especially with the people in your life, because you're very giving, very loving, very kind. But where's the like looking out for yourself? So you're just standing there kind of letting yourself get drenched in the rain when you could just go inside into the warm area, and you don't even need to be putting up with this. Because I feel like some of y'all, honestly, speaking of the rest of these cards, but some of you guys are surrounded by some dysfunctional people. You know, some of you guys have people that don't listen to you, don't trust you, whatever. We can see that what is coming ahead is you being in hermit mode. So some of you guys are going to prune these connections or just learn, you know what? I don't need to make nice with anyone. I don't need to smooth this over. I'm going to do me. And if someone doesn't like it, I don't care. I'm not interested, you know? And I think that's a really positive step forward, because I can also see with your kind of situation surrounding you, your environment, that there's people that actually kind of look down on you or don't think you're smart, don't take you seriously. Like, I feel like when you speak, they ignore you. I feel like when you speak, they don't listen. They just kind of blow past it. They just kind of like, oh, they don't really mean it. You know, maybe because you've given so many people the benefit of the doubt over and over, that now when you're like, I'm done, people are like, oh, whatever. They say that every week, you know, but it just feels to me really strongly like you guys are kind of leaving this in the past, and Spirit's like cheering. Spirit's like, it's finally time. They're finally done with this, because I don't think there's any virtue in putting other people before you. And I see this, especially men do this too, but especially feminine energies. Women, I think, are pressured so much into putting others' needs before them. And they kind of do that naturally. Like when they literally test for like disagreeability rates, men score way higher than women. Women have a much harder time being like, no, this is wrong. I'm not tolerating it. And part of that is, I know like it gets perceived differently when a man says it versus when a woman says it. But for a lot of women, they constantly are prioritizing other people in their life, whoever it may be. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to have everyone hate them. And sometimes, you know, people are going to hate you. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it means you do have to stand alone. Sometimes when you're the only one standing up for what's right, you're going to have a lot of people that don't like that. The truth seeker in general is never a popular figure in any society, in any family. That's usually who becomes the scapegoat. In a company, the person that's like, you know, this isn't really, I don't know if this boss keeps screaming at people and it's dysfunctional. That's the person that everyone else is going to sometimes band against. Right? And I feel like that's what's going on here with some of you guys with the Queen of Swords reversed, is that people are not listening to you. They discount you. And it's like you're speaking truth, but it's like you're speaking into a wall. It's like you're trying to convince these people and they're not listening. And some of you guys need to realize that, figure it out, and be like, I'm done. I'm done giving you my energy. That's it. It's over. And I can see you guys leaning into that, because we did get the Page of Wands for your current energy and where you're at now. So it feels like you're kind of like, I am ready before. And you know, I didn't even notice, but it's so positive because they're saying the situation that caused this was the Knight of Wands being reversed. And now we have you moving into an upright Page of Wands. So you're ready to stand up for yourself. You're ready to be like, it's over. I'm coming in with my fire energy and I am calling out everyone. I'm done tolerating the BS. And I think that's a really positive step, because I can tell that you guys are sweethearts. I can tell that you guys have been so kind and loving to others, but it just feels like you're surrounded by people who take, and don't give back to you. And I think it's time for you to step out on your own. And I can tell a lot of you guys want that too. I can tell a lot of you guys are kind of dreaming about that, hoping for that. I can see that your desired outcome is that Three of Wands. So you guys, some of you are even might be, I don't know, planning a move or planning to get out of this situation and switch out of it. And I do think that, like I said, I feel like you guys, it's like you're coming into your strength, and that's what's got to happen first. Because if you just moved your situation, you're going to keep repeating this pattern over and over and over. So you've got to change yourself, so that next time when some user type person tries to buddy up with you and tries to be all friendly, but they're never really reciprocating, you cut it off quick. And you're like, no, not going to work for me, you know? Because I can see something really exciting for you guys is that the likely outcome is the Queen of Pentacles. So what's coming to my mind is my favorite quote and saying, and if they hate, then let them hate and watch the money pile up. You guys are going to be a success regardless of what these people think, regardless of what these people say. You guys are coming into your power, and know that that is your destination. You have your eyes on the prize. And I think you guys are being strengthened. You're being stripped away, because when you're this kind of people pleaser that y'all are right now, it doesn't bode well when you actually do have the money, the success. Because when you don't have those boundaries up, and you don't have a dollar to your name, it can still be really bad for you and really catastrophic. Well, if you don't have a dollar to your name, that could be really bad because there's, crazy predatory people. But if you have, I don't know, a few thousand to your name or whatever, not that much, you're not going to attract some of those really high intensity user types, right? They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, that's a small fish. What's the point? When you have that kind of status that I can see you guys heading for, you're going to attract a lot of that. And you're going to have those boundaries up where you can identify it and put an end to it. And you see so much of the time someone who might be able to manifest for themselves a lot of success, a lot of abundance, a lot of power, but they don't have the correct boundaries in their life. They start seeing those warning signals, like I said, with that example with me and my friend going out to eat or going for our walk, which turned out to being out to eat. But, you start feeling the wind blowing, you start seeing the storm clouds, but what do? You just keep going. It's so important to learn, okay, I see the storm clouds, I'm going inside. And, I think that for you guys, Spirit is really ushering you through this to get you into that growth, to get you to put down these boundaries. There is no virtue in sacrificing yourself to others. And some of y'all really need to learn that, is that there's no reward. Spirit on the other side is not cheering for you when you, just put yourself in a horrible situation for someone who's really ungrateful and doesn't even appreciate it. Like, Spirit prioritizes you. Spirit loves all of us, but Spirit does not look kindly on you just making your life a living hell for someone else's feeling good, and in some kind of vain effort of winning them over, because that's what a lot of people pleasers do, is they're hoping for that kind of acceptance. They're hoping for that kind of, and honestly, I think a lot of people pick that up sometimes with parents, especially a selfish parent, a lot of times with their kids, they kind of end up having, the kid kind of has to dance around their needs a little bit. So they just learn that as a coping mechanism, as oh, I'll just always prioritize everyone else. And that's the kind of trauma shadow work you have to do to kind of figure out what the root of that is. When did I decide that keeping someone else happy was more important than my happiness? Because the game of life is about you. It's about, you're the player in the game. You wouldn't be playing a video game and then just randomly decide, instead of actually playing your character, to go help someone else and just go help some NPC, non-playable character, build their house or something. You wouldn't be like, oh no, never mind about finding the gold coins or whatever the quest is. I'm just gonna go sit here and help this random villager chop onions and make it for the stew. You know what I mean? That's not even an option in the game because they so don't want you to do that. So you have to be, we get these lifetimes, they're important and they're limited. They're not just some endless thousands of years you have to figure things out. We have a limited amount of time on earth, and we're incarnated on this earth for a reason. Everyone has their own purpose, and no one's purpose is just to help this one other person. Just oh, you take a backseat, you're just kind of the side character. Every one of us is supposed to be the main character in our lives. And we can do that while still being respectful of others, while still being compassionate and still being kind. But I feel a lot of you guys are trying to help people out who aren't compassionate and kind to you and never would be. Never would be. Ever, ever, ever. What's interesting here is some of you guys are just hoping and wishing about getting some sleep for once and getting to relax. It feels like some of you guys are why does this keep happening to me? I just want to chill. I just don't want to have this conflict. I just want to be able to relax. But I feel like you guys are being strengthened by this. And a big thing Spirit is saying is, they keep saying, you guys saw this coming. That this was alarm bells were going off a long time ago, and you guys just kind of chilled. I mentioned before, I lived in a building where the alarm system was constantly being tripped off. People would just, I don't even know, I think it was just faulty. So it would go off every couple weeks. And of course, the first time it went off, I panicked and was about to head outside. And then I saw everyone just on their balcony because it had been going on for a couple minutes. And so I was huh. So I just kind of thought, well, let me see what happens. I'll be out on my balcony in case there's something that we need to be aware of. But everyone was just chilling and relaxing and just waiting for it to end. And then I started realizing, I was like, okay, so we're not going outside. And then I started realizing that that happened all the time. And they would just automatically send an email after, like, we apologize for the alarm system going off. And you know what? No one took it seriously. From then on, when the fire alarm went off, everyone just stayed inside, you know? And I feel like that's the vibe here, is like that fire alarm has been going off and going off and going off, and you guys aren't taking it seriously. And that's a problem when we don't listen to our own instincts and we shove them down and we kind of pretend like it's like, no, that's normal. No, I know I got a weird vibe from her, but she didn't really mean it. Yeah, I know that, like, I asked them to help with this, but I think they were busy, you know, and we just kind of put ourselves on the back burner and we kind of prioritize someone else, and we just kind of constantly, it's like a little betrayal to ourselves. And I think you guys are getting to the point where you don't give a flying F, you know, about what other people want or for you or want you to do. A lot of you have been trying to appease these people that are never going to be appeased. A lot of these people are threatened by you and they don't like you anyway. I'm not trying to be harsh, but I do have an Aries third house. So again, excuse me, Mercury square Pluto, if I am coming off harsh, but I just want you to know, like, they don't like you. And so why waste time with them anyway? If they're trash, they're trash. If they don't see the beauty in you, they don't see the beauty in you. And there's no point sitting around trying to convince someone. Like if I took, like I said, I mentioned it before, the Hope Diamond out of the glass encased like security fortress thing it's in the Smithsonian with an armed guard next to it. If I somehow got that out of there and was able to take it out and put it in my pocket and just start walking around with it, and maybe I went up to someone who has no idea about diamonds, diamond clarity, or whatever it is, you know, all the different logistics, I guess, of like jewels and stuff and gemstones. And I tried to show them and I was like, look at this. They might be like, oh, that's pretty, but they're not going to know what it is. They're not going to value it. They're not going to know that it's worth, I don't know how much it's worth, tens of millions. It might be worth like 100 million. I don't know. They're not going to know that. They're going to be like, oh, okay. Like how many times do you see famous pieces of art that maybe are very modernist, like a famous Picasso, Basquiat, something like that, that's a little unconventional. And if you showed it to a random person, they'd probably be like, what the heck? Why is that? That looks like a scribble or something. You know what I mean? They don't know the value of it. That doesn't make the value of it any less. That doesn't, but it does mean you're probably wasting your time if you keep trying to sell it to someone who doesn't know what it is, doesn't appreciate it, probably doesn't even have the money to afford it if they wanted to, but they don't want to. So part of that in life is learning to kind of, you know, sow seeds in fertile ground, so to speak. Like I mentioned before, you don't try to grow a forest in the desert. You don't try to grow tomato plants in the middle of the Mojave or Death Valley. You just accept that, oh, this is not a good place to grow ground. Maybe I could grow some sagebrush here or some creosote bushes, but I can't grow a tomato plant or an orange grove like in Florida or a rainforest. You know, I just can't. So it is what it is. And I feel like for some of you guys, you're trying to convince people to like you, to respect you, and they don't. They're not even listening to you. They might be talking behind your back. And I don't say that to be harsh. I say that so you can remove your energy quick and keep it moving to someone who will, because so many people do respect you. And maybe that's where I'm getting a jealous vibe as well. I'm getting some of these people are jealous of you down to their core. They don't want to see you succeed. They don't want to see you thrive. They don't want to see you do well. They like ignoring you. They like making fun of you. They like saying that, oh, that's stupid, or whatever is going on here. It feels like almost colluding energy or dismissing or laughing. Like, I just don't like them. I think they're nasty type people. And so I think you guys, I can see that you're fed up. You probably are losing sleep. I want to get some more cards, but yeah, it's like, why waste time with trash? As I mentioned before, why spend time like digging through a trash pile when you could just move to some fertile ground? So let me get some cards from this deck. Coming apart. I can tell you guys are really stressed about this. It's interesting. These are all reversed. Commitment came out reversed. Interesting that movement came out reversed. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, and then slow and steady actually came out reverse. I feel like though there's a message that, first of all, don't be trying to be friends with these people, whoever this person is, whatever this situation is. Don't be trying to be nice to them, whatever. Just cut your losses. Goodbye. You know, trash is always going to be trash, whether you try to dress it up and turn it into something nice. Trash is trash. So I feel like some of you guys, you're getting to that point where you're fed up. And I can see that you really are fed up. And I don't know whether I'm going to pull some more cards, but it's interesting that movement is reversed. It might be telling you to slow down a little bit and wait. But then we also have slow and steady reverse. So let me get more cards. Spirit, can you give us some guidance for pile 1? I feel like the message is you guys are going to end up Queen of Pentacles regardless. You guys are going to get this journey. Patience and planning reverse. This is really interesting. I think these people are threatened by your power and they really underestimate you, but I'm hearing that that is not the first time they've underestimated you guys. You're used to being underestimated and you're used to people not seeing your value. And I think that's where the pain comes in. That's where like your heart is upset. You are like, how many more times is someone going to just disrespect me, treat me like garbage? And, you know, why do I have to keep dealing with this? Like we got the 4 of Swords for you guys. You just want to kind of relax and chill and not to have to deal with this. But I feel like this is a lesson that's really important for you guys to learn. And a lot of you guys, this does come from childhood stuff. And it's like, I think you guys are going to gain a lot of strength from this situation, a lot of knowledge, so that if something like this happens in the future, you're going to be able to handle it much better. But I do feel like there's a message not to rush things. Take your time with it and plan things out. Don't rush into like, I can't deal with this anymore. I think you guys can handle this by planning it really well, thinking very rationally, because I can tell you guys are very rational and intelligent, even though you did get the Queen of Swords reversed for kind of your environment. I think that's how the people around you are treating you. So we got rescue. Some of you guys, you might have someone come to your rescue. You need to kind of be your own strength with this situation. Lean into your own power and you can kind of become the leader in this. But I think for a lot of you guys, this is about you stepping into your power as well and really kind of being your own savior, your own rescuer. Because again, I feel like some of you guys are more powerful than even you're comfortable with. And it's like, it kind of intimidates other people and it almost scares you at times. You know how powerful you are and you're almost afraid of what would happen if I stopped giving that power away. If I stop being so nice to everyone. Maybe you have some trauma from childhood or something about when you aren't nice to people, people get intimidated and then they team up against you. You know, kind of like, hey, everyone in the village, let's band together to get the monster who came into town or something like that. And there's this primal fear you have that if you don't kowtow to others, if you don't put others in front of you, then you're going to get in big trouble. And you're not in that situation anymore. You're an adult. You don't have to give, like I said, a single flying F about what anyone else thinks about you. You get to live your life. And I think appeasement is overrated. Putting other people first, I honestly think, you know, it's overrated. Putting yourself first, being your own best advocate, being able to look at yourself at the end of the night in the mirror and know you advocated for yourself and you did everything you could for yourself. And that you didn't sacrifice yourself, because that's sometimes when we get disappointed and when we're really feeling down is when we know that at some point we sold ourselves down the river. We kind of sold ourselves out. We, you know, someone said something and we were like, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. Even though we knew deep down inside it wasn't fine. And we knew that we had every right to speak up, but instead of doing it, we just shut our mouth and we just forced ourselves to be quiet. And that's where we get upset, is because it's that self-betrayal. And some of you guys are stepping out of that right now. Let me get more cards. We just got a beginning a new cycle just fell out. It was this one. But anyway, I'm going to shuffle more. So I do think you guys are beginning something new with this. I do think you guys are putting this behind. And actually, I know it doesn't seem, but it does feel like an exciting time for you guys. What's happening for pile 1? Any guidance, clarity? Get the big picture. Yes, I think you guys, that's some advice I would give, is like, don't kind of lose it in this time, because I can see that you guys are really stressed out right now about the current situation. And I think the message is like, it is going to work out. It is going to be okay. And maybe just kind of zoom out a little and pay attention to like what is going to happen. You guys are going to reach this Queen of Pentacles. So right now for this situation, this is a necessary part of your growth. You are supposed to learn this, and you are supposed to leave these behaviors in the past. And in order for you to step into this new energy, this new level, like you wanted to upgrade your life, this is how you got to do it. You got to pass this test first. As I love it when Joel Osteen says, the good news is if you don't pass the test the first time, you get to take it again. So, and that's kind of a joke, because obviously we don't want to take these tests over and over in life, but if it's coming up again, that means it's something you didn't learn. So for a lot of you guys, this is about putting up boundaries. This is about trusting your intuitions towards people, like from the jump. Like you get the bad vibes, oh, they're out. I'm not going to make nice. I'm not going to pretend. This is about speaking up for yourself when it initially happens. I think so much of the time, the inner turmoil people have is when they know a situation is messed up, but they're quiet about it. They don't want to speak up. They don't want to cause conflict. So they just kind of, but what they don't realize, that what they're doing when they do that is, like I said, it's selling yourself down the river. It's not some virtuous thing to shut up and tolerate something that's really intolerable and bad. That's not good. There's nothing good about that. That's mean to yourself. And the problem will keep happening until you fix it and face it head on and address it. And I think you guys are really doing that. I want to get some final message cards for pile 1. So we got waning moon. What do you need to release? Bring love into the situation. I think you guys, like, just stay calm about this. The end of a tough cycle approaches. Full moon in Capricorn, and nothing is yet set in stone. Mutable moon. And I feel like, because I just feel so called to use this moon deck, I feel like a lot of you guys, this full moon we're having right now is really going to address this situation and really going to change it, or get, like, it's coming up now for a reason. I think it, like I mentioned, I think this is a long simmering type situation, but I feel like it's kind of coming to a head right now, and full moons can always be emotionally intense. So like, don't lose your cool. That's why we say lunatic. It comes from Luna, the moon. So, you know, it is important to stay calm during full moons, especially like a Sagittarius moon can be really fiery. And this is a timeless reading, so whenever you're watching it, this message will be for you. But I think for a lot of you guys, this situation is changing. It will change. Just gonna have to kind of soldier through it and take the lessons you learned here and not be so nice. I just feel like you guys are too nice, and you need to let it go and leave it in the past and just stay calm about it. Like, don't let it get to you. Know that you're going to succeed in the end, and keep your eyes on that prize. Don't let your mind get distracted by some of these people that may get a kick out of like riling you up. So keep yourself calm and always look at it dispassionately, because when you're dispassionate about a situation and you can strategize about it, that's when you have the power. When you're emotionally a wreck and you haven't gotten any sleep, then you're at a, you know, you're at a, what's it called? Well, you're in the less powerful position. You know, you're at a disadvantage. Yep, that's the word. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, you know, try to get sleep if you can, or rest or relax or put this out of your mind. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on that Queen of Pentacles. And I think you guys will get through this. But you got to change these patterns. We got to learn to identify it, address it, and learn to get this stuff out of our lives when it happens. When someone shows their, as Maya Angelou says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't make all these excuses in your mind of like, but they really meant this. Well, but I think they said that. Well, I know their energy was this, but I think what it was no. It is what it is. And identify that up front. And then you can act, at least you can analyze the situation honestly. You're like, they don't like me. They never will. And what do I do now? Instead of deluding ourselves into like, well, I know it was harsh they said that, but it wasn't quite meant. That's so pointless, you know? So I think you guys are stepping into this honesty, and I love that for you, and you're going to reach that beautiful ending. So if you guys want to hear more of this reading, head over to my Patreon where I post the extended version of this. We go into more detail and clarity about your situation and get some more guidance for you guys. So that's up at my Patreon, link in my description if you want to join us over there. And if you really like this reading and want to get a one-on-one time with me, you can also head to the link in my description, briarrosetarot.com, and book yourself a half-hour or 1-hour session with me, and we can get all kinds of information for you guys. So I think we're pretty much out of slots for this month, but there's a few for next month. So definitely get your appointment in, get it scheduled, and we'll get you in and get some clarity on whatever you guys want. And yeah, if you guys want to let me know how this resonated, I love hearing from you guys, love reading your comments. Make sure to give this reading a big thumbs up, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications on so you can find out as soon as I post. I'm sending you guys so much love and light. I hope you all have an amazing day and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey pile 2, so if you guys picked this blue kyanite crystal, this is going to be your reading. So today we're doing a Celtic cross spread, which is a very traditional and old tarot reading spread. So a tarot reader definitely might do this in a private reading for you guys. And we are just going to go over each of the cards as we move through it because it's a lot to go over, but all of them have different meanings based on where they're placed. And I'll quickly show you the order. We're starting off with 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's get right into it. I can see that right now your current kind of situation is that things feel pretty good. You guys got the 9 of Pentacles. So actually you might have experienced some success and be in a good place with what you guys are doing. It feels like there might even be an element of boredom or you guys kind of wanting something new, wanting the next thing, and feeling a little bit stagnant right now, or feeling like things are just a little too easy, you know, it's just, there's nothing kind of exciting going on, or there's an easiness here that's just making you a little complacent and you kind of are looking for something new. I can see that what is crossing you is this star card. So to me, that says that you guys have a dream that you haven't really accomplished yet. You have a dream that's kind of in the back of your mind pulling at you. That's something that you guys really want, but it hasn't happened yet. And I feel like it just, sometimes you try to kind of tamp down on it or tamp away from it or just kind of put it in the back of your mind, but it keeps coming back. It keeps coming up for you. And there might be a little bit of fear about that. Like, I already have this good life. Things are already good for me. I don't know if I want to put myself at risk by going after this dream, maybe risking embarrassment, maybe risking the judgment of others, but there's something that is holding you guys back from fully leaning into that and fully trying. And with the Page of Cups down here with what's the root of this situation, I can see that for a lot of you guys, this might be paying attention to your current emotions and doing what's easy rather than doing the hard things that you might need to do. It could also be just running away from your intuition, that you feel this from spirit. You feel spirit telling you that you are supposed to try for something, but you guys aren't wanting to give into that. You aren't wanting to fully allow that to happen. You guys are scared, or it feels like it's too much. It feels like it's going to be a huge risk and you don't want to put yourselves out there in that way. I can see that the energy that's leaving for you guys is this Two of Swords. So this indecisiveness is about to come to an end. I feel like Spirit is just going to keep bringing this up, bringing this up, bringing this up until you guys are fully willing to step into it. And I can also see that what crowns you is the Ten of Wands. So this is your potential for success, and it is going to involve a lot of work. The Ten of Wands can look like a negative card, and it can be a negative card. But to me, in this position, it says to me that you guys have to be ready that this is going to be a lot of work. This isn't necessarily going to be easy, but I feel like you're going to be very fulfilled by it. I feel like also the Ten of Wands and Wands cards in general, they tend to just lean into things and just do them and kind of just not, they don't ask themselves, should I do this? Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. They don't really weigh the options. They just kind of go for it. That's like fire sign energy. And I feel like Spirit is saying, maybe you guys need a little bit of that energy. Of course, a lot of times, you know, we want to mitigate risk. We want to think things through, but sometimes you've just got to go for it. You know, I'm getting a vision in my mind of when I went bungee jumping, and I am not someone who's generally afraid of heights. I don't really mind heights, but I'll tell you what, when you're on top of like 200 feet above the ground, looking out across the countryside and you can see everything for miles, and there's literally nothing underneath you, and there's just a little tiny platform you're standing on, no part of you wants to jump off that at all. No part of you is like, this is going to be awesome. Every part of your body is screaming at you to not jump, to get down, to climb back down and have to make that kind of sad little journey back down the ladder. But you know, you have to have that boldness inside. You have to take that step. And I remember, I get vertigo actually, even though I'm not afraid of them. That tends to make you lose your sense of balance on like a high thing. And I remember it was kind of funny. I climbed up to the top and I was standing there and I told the guy, I was like, by the way, I have vertigo. And he was like, oh, you probably should have told us that at the bottom. Because you could just lose your balance and fall in either direction, which I think like you have to kind of, you're supposed to dive the right way. But anyway, and then he was like, anyway, it's your time, you can go. And I literally was like, I just felt so much fear in my body, but I kind of moved with not my logical brain, but just my physical brain. I still, in my mind, was terrified and scared, but I forced my legs to like step off. And then next thing I know, I'm flying through the air. Obviously that was scary, but then everything turns out okay. You get caught by that cord and everything is fine. But it never becomes easy. Like I really thought I was gonna get up there. I've done high diving off the high board. I was like, it's gonna be easy. It's gonna be a piece of cake. No, it's still scary to get up there. And still you have those nerves. You have that fear inside of you, but you know you're going to be okay, and you have to take that leap of faith. And I feel like that's the vibe that is coming to my mind with you guys, is like, maybe don't overthink too much. Maybe you guys are in your head a little bit too much and weighing the options and trying to figure them out. I always feel like spirit comes in once we turn that logical part of our brain off. And when you think about all the miracles that have happened, most of the time they make no sense. They don't even make sense when people retell them. Like people will read about Bible stories or miraculous things and they're like, that never could have happened. That's literally impossible. But that's kind of how a miracle works. Like there's stories of people falling out of plane crashes and surviving, you know, or someone lifting a car when they have, when their baby's inside of it or something, or baby's underneath it or whatever, you know. And I think I was overthinking this the other night, and I think a lot of that is that your logical brain is turned off. Like I was thinking about the story I told you guys about when that crazy man chased me and my friends when we were ding dong ditching. And so the funny thing about that is I remember like jumping over the fences, and literally I was like Usain Bolt. I was jumping over like 4-foot tall fences, and I was running so fast. I remember a dog in one of the yards was like running after me and couldn't catch me, which is really crazy because dogs are super fast and I'm generally a really slow runner. But I think it was because I was just going with like instinct. I wasn't overthinking. And actually a little while later after that event, all my friends were like, oh, I can't believe you had run through all those yards and you got back so fast. So we were kind of hanging out at like the track field, and I was like, oh, let me jump over some of these hurdles because obviously I'm like the most amazing jumper ever. So I'm sure I can jump over all of these no problem. And let me just tell you, I could not. And I think the big thing was I would run up to them and suddenly my logical mind would take over. I would be scared. I would be like, this is like 4 feet tall, or however tall it is, 3 feet, I don't know. And I would be like, I can't do this. Like, I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to like fall over. I'm going to land on my face. And so I would chicken out at the last moment. But in that moment, I was so scared of that guy who I thought was like a crazy person that I was just running full force, and there was nothing that could stop me. I never stopped to pause and think, could I jump over this fence? I've never jumped over a hurdle in my life, so probably not. Let me slow down and take the other way around. No, I just was like, not thinking. The logical part of my brain was completely off. And I think that's why I was able to run that fast, which is the only time in my life I've probably run super fast, to be honest, because I'm just not a fast runner. And so I think there's something to be said for doing that fire energy where you're not really thinking logically. You're not really thinking with over intellectual part of our brain that we're so used to relying on in the modern world. Like I think most of the time, I'm even thinking of those questions on tests where you have to show your work. And even if you have the right answer, if you don't show your work in the right way, they'll like mark you down for the answer. And I feel like so many of us, we get into this mentality of always having to have reasons, always having to overthink, always having to have like point A, point B, pros and cons. If this happens, then that's going to happen. And let me mitigate this risk with that. And then this means this. And we spend so much of the time overthinking that we never actually do it. And we kind of chicken out and talk ourselves out of it. And we spend so much time being like, oh, maybe I should have, that we end up wasting so much. Like I know someone who was really thinking of going to Woodstock in 1969, and they were thinking of going, and then they, were like, whatever, I'm just not going to do it because it's too much work. Like I don't want to have to leave the city, New York City, and all this stuff. So they ended up not going, and then they regretted that. They had the instinct to go, but then the logical brain turns on of like, oh, I'd have to get a ride out of the city, and I'd have to do this, and it's kind of last minute. So you end up, and how many of us have experiences like that? Like we were going to go to something, but then we decided not to. And then later you're like, I wish I'd just done it. I wish I'd just done it and made it happen. I wish I had forced myself to be a little uncomfortable in that moment and be bold and trust that it was going to be okay. And I feel like that's what Spirit is calling you to do. Spirit wants you guys to know also that you guys are protected. And we actually have the Wheel of Fortune with what is going to come soon for you guys. So this is a period of luck, of being blessed by that beautiful Jupiter energy that makes everything easy, that makes everything beautiful and benefic and a blessing. It's such a lucky energy. That's your golden time when like the heavens are smiling on you. So for you guys, I feel like this is going to be a perfect opportunity for you guys to trust and lean into it and be bold. Like when luck is on your side like this, it's like you can't go wrong. So if you knew that you couldn't go wrong, that you were going to win no matter what, then you would go for it, right? You wouldn't be like twiddling your thumbs, overthinking it, being pessimistic, being negative, being in your head, trying to figure it out. That's the thing also, is like, I don't think life is easy for us to think about when we're trying to fast forward sometimes and look into the future. Yes, we can do it with tarot, but for most of us, I can think of the craziest, best blessings I've had, my, best friends, best relationships, and best just things that happened. And it always was something I never could have predicted. It always was something that came out of the blue, suddenly, a strange event. Somewhere I wasn't supposed to be, somewhere that I, last minute was like, oh, let me just go. You know what I mean? And that's where the blessings came in. It wasn't something I like mapped out, like I'm going to meet my best friend because I switched into this math class at the last minute and don't have anyone to sit next to, and it's the only seat in the class. You know what I mean? So yeah, like it's always something that happens that we can't really predict, that we can't really see, and we have to have that blind faith and trust. There's no way you can map out and plan those things because they're meant to come in as a blessing and as a surprise and to keep us on our toes. And sometimes, when we have too much Nine of Pentacles, when things are just too easy, when we're just kind of too in our comfort zone, like just staying inside maybe and just kind of chilling, relaxing all the time, as easy as a life as that may be, it doesn't really fulfill us, especially when we feel called to do something greater, like I can see with you guys with the Star card. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, Spirit is calling on you guys to be bold. Spirit is calling on you guys to be willing to lean into this and take a risk and not to be afraid of anything that might happen. Actually, where you are now is the Five of Wands reversed. That can also talk about avoiding conflict. And some of you guys might be afraid of the conflict this might bring out. Maybe some of your family or friends would be like, oh, that's lame that you're doing that. Or they might even get triggered by it. Like, who do you think you are? You're trying to become a singer now? Well, oh, you think you're better than us or something like that. Or you're trying to open a business. You're trying to go to college. Oh, so you're too good to work for the family company or something like that, and you're like, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with the judgment of others. I don't want to have to take that on. But I feel like you guys are supposed to. You're supposed to realize that, like, yeah, sometimes achieving, like I said, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it is difficult. Sometimes it doesn't just flow easily. Sometimes we've got to like push and fight and, earn something. And it is difficult. And sometimes it is that fire wand energy of conflict and and taking challenges on and having to sometimes, work really hard. But that's what is going to pay off and give us the destiny we want. That's also life. Like, we incarnated on this planet not just to sit around and have it be easy. We incarnated on this planet to experience things. Like, if you were playing a video game, you wouldn't just play on level 1 easy mode the whole time and spend your time like chilling in a corner, knitting or something, instead of going off to fight the dragon, right? Although I have done that in video games, because you guys know I love fake food. So I will go and see if it's like a realistic game and there's like a little kitchen with food, I'll always go look at the food. I don't know why I love fake food. But anyway, so I am the exception to that. But for most people, you don't want to stay the whole time holed up in the kitchen, helping another villager cook something. You want to be out, achieving the quest. You want to be out risking things. You want to be out fighting and leaning into it and being bold and experiencing life. That's how we experience life as well, is like sometimes getting your heart broken. Sometimes, having a friendship that is really upsetting or something. Sometimes it's diving headfirst into the water and the water is cold and it's kind of dark and it's wet and it's uncomfortable, but we're experiencing something amazing and we feel alive and we feel invigorated. And I feel like that's what Spirit is saying, is that for some of you guys, this is about going into some kind of a quest or like a hero's journey that you guys have been called for, that you guys know, whatever this might be for you guys, because it could be anything. Only you can hear those messages from Spirit, those divine things that Spirit puts in our heart, those secret wishes and wants that we all have. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is just going to become stronger and stronger and stronger until you're willing to do it. And in general, if you're like, well, I don't really know what that is, you might try meditating on it. But for some of you guys, maybe, one of my favorite phrases is the path appears. I got that from that Oprah book that she released, but I love that quote because I think that's sometimes how life happens, is we dive in first and then certain things pop up that's like, oh yeah, I'd be good at that. And then you try it and then you are good. And then it kind of leads to this, leads to that, and sometimes that's life, but we've got to be in life. We've got to be experiencing it. We've got to be pushing ourselves, and we can't just be standing on the kind of sidelines and hoping something magical happens. We've got to be putting ourselves out there in the world. We've got to be making ourselves a little uncomfortable at times. You might be surrounded by people that are kind of judgmental of this kind of a thing. They might be very orderly with the Seven of Pentacles and the King of Swords. This is the environment you're in. So it might be that you have people around you who are used to a very regimented way of life, who are used to kind of a very traditional career path, or they think that they might say things like money doesn't grow on trees, or why would you think you can do that? Or there's no way, the percentage of that is crazy, you're never going to be able to make it, or something like that, or you need to be very rational in how you go about this. They might be someone that overthinks everything and might be a little judgmental towards you as well, or this is just how you feel. You might be surrounded by people that also just make their money in like a traditional way. Like everyone has a 9-to-5 job and you're thinking of quitting your job and moving to go backpack in Switzerland or Thailand or wherever. And so those people are going to look at you like you're crazy. And so again, I think the message is, yeah, if those people look at you like they're crazy, that's fine. They can live whatever life they want. They might not have the same things that God has put in your heart. Spirit might be putting something different for you that they don't understand, they don't hear, and that's fine. That's not even, a bad thing for them. It's just different. Like, it's kind of like you can't hear what's on someone else's phone call. You know what I mean? And someone else can't hear what's on your phone call. Like when you get those messages, I have tried to listen into some of my friends when they're on like a juicy phone call and arguing with their boyfriend, and like you can't hear a thing unless they put it on speakerphone. You can't hear a thing. You can just hear their side, but you can't hear what the other person is saying. And I feel like that happens to us so much, is like we'll go to other people for advice, for opinions, people in our life. We'll ask them questions. Should I do this? What do you think about that? But they don't necessarily have the calling you have. Maybe they have a different calling. Maybe it's good for them to live their life a certain way. We all have our own mission. And so it's about hearing the mission that's yours and yours alone, and stepping into that and being willing to take the risk, to take the blessing. And I feel like you guys are ready for a change, because we do have the Fool. So this might be kind of daunting as well, because you feel like you're starting over in this arena. It might feel like it's brand new and you're excited by that, but you're also kind of scared. You're also like, okay, it feels like there's something kind of irrevocable about this, is the word. Like, once you go there, you can't go back. I mean, the original image of the Fool is someone stepping off a cliff. And so that energy in life, like I said, it's funny. Same thing as bungee jumping. You're literally stepping off that cliff. And of course, it doesn't feel comfortable. But just like I knew that bungee cord was going to catch me, you can know that spirit, your angels, your guides, your ancestors will catch you when you fall. And they love when we take that leap of faith. That's why like so many like self-development places like camps and stuff will make you do those trust falls, because there's something really powerful about that, about putting your faith in someone else or something else, something bigger than you. I always put my faith in spirit, knowing that spirit will protect me and that all things are working out for my greatest and highest good. This is an urging for you guys to be bold and to be really willing to take a little bit of a risk. And if you guys have been hoping that things are going to get easier, maybe you'll get some message of clarification, and suddenly everything is going to click into place and there's going to be no risk involved. I feel like the message spirit wants me to deliver to you is that it's never going to get easier. You're never going to get that feeling where it feels good to jump off that cliff, or where it feels good, like I said, to go bungee jumping. And I really thought it was going to be the easiest thing ever, because like I said, I don't have a fear of heights, but it's scary, I can't express how much fear was in my body. Like I was just like, oh God, I don't want to do this, I didn't have any time to prepare for it. So that was probably also a factor. Like it was just kind of sprung on me. We're going bungee jumping, which is probably not the thing to surprise someone with, but anyway. But yeah, like it's something like that. It's really nerve-wracking, but I'm really glad I did it, and actually afterwards you feel this euphoria, you feel this really rush of positive emotion. And also that knowing that you did it, and that I didn't scream on the way down, and I stayed calm. And the guy I was with screamed like a little baby, so I felt extremely smug about that. But that's how we kind of also build up our self-esteem, our self-trust, is like doing hard things. And I feel like spirit is really calling that to you. And with the likely outcome, we have the Ace of Wands. So for a lot of you guys, this is going to be a huge success, but it does take that action. It does take that leaning into it and being bold. The Ace of Wands is such a bold card. It is a card of success, but it's also just a card of taking that initiative, bursting in with that fire energy. Like I said, not overthinking, not getting in our heads, but just going to it with enthusiasm. And also I want to get some additional cards for the likely outcome for pile 2. Spirit, can you tell me the likely outcome? Oh my gosh, 3 of Cups. So that's a celebratory card. That is a card. Also, I feel like you guys are going to enjoy your life a lot more after this. You're going to have so much to celebrate, and you might be more aligned with your tribe as well. You might be more aligned with people that really get along with you guys and really enjoy you and understand you. And you might just feel a lot less kind of like lonely or misunderstood if you can take this action. So yeah, I feel like for a lot of you, whatever this is that's floating through your mind, this is something you kind of have to do. You have to be willing to take this bold action, because this is really the key for you guys to achieve those things that you really, really want. So let me pull some additional message cards for pile 2. Let's get some oracle cards. What's going on for pile 2? What messages and advice would you give pile 2? Material and financial changes, mental conflict. Okay, we can see that with the 2 of Swords. Patience and fertility. So I feel like the message is that you guys are ready to go. You're ready to give birth. It feels like it's okay if you guys want to take your time. You don't have to take action until you are ready, but I feel like this is something you guys should really be thinking about, just leaning towards and going into. And I feel like the more time you guys spend, the more you're going to be undeniable about this. You're just going to know that it's the path for you. It's going to become clearer and clearer, and Spirit is going to give you those signs over and over and over. But it's always okay to wait until you're ready, to wait until you have that clarity. You don't have to rush things. But I feel like it's just going to be an inevitability, and it's just going to be kind of pulling away at you until you go for it. So why not step into it earlier would be my advice. But it's okay if you want to ask your guides and stuff for more clarification. If you want to ask them like, hey, how exactly can I do this? Or what exact steps should I take? Give me a sign. Ask them to show you signs. They will give you crazy signs, so specific about what you should do. So ask for that guidance or that clarity, and be prepared and be open that once you ask, that Spirit might put certain thoughts, images, ideas in your mind, or you might randomly run across a bunch of messages that seem to be pointing to a different thing. Those are your messages from your guides and your angels, so pay attention to that. But I feel like a lot of you guys are ready to make this happen. And it feels like a beautiful new era coming in for you guys. It feels like there's just a beautiful energy that's going to be happening, and life is about to get a lot more exciting for you guys. Life is about to get a lot more invigorated, and I'm seeing scenes from like the La Dolce Vita, and just like being full of life, being full of energy, enjoying your life. If things have felt stagnant, prepare for that to end and take the steps you need to take to make that happen. It's not just like putting it all on Spirit. We've also got to take our own steps to make manifestations take place. If we want to welcome in love in our life, it's not just enough to stay inside our room, because as I always say, who are you going to fall in love with? Like the Amazon delivery guy? You've got to be willing to go out there and be bold. But I feel like for a lot of you guys, whatever this is, it's something big. And you need to know that you will have this huge chance of success, but don't be afraid of the hard work. Don't be afraid if you do get a little bit busy, because I think that's your sign that that's going to happen. So we got impasse, reflect, and redirect your energy. Messages for pile 2. Vast vistas, expand your horizons. Mystic healer, healing energy flows through you. Protected by angels, you are cherished by the angels and stepping into power. And I feel like that is really the theme for this, is you guys are stepping into power. And maybe the current situation you're in right now is an impasse. Maybe you're at a point right now where like something you thought was going to work out is not going to work out. And the sooner we can kind of identify that and realign the energy, or be like, this isn't paying off the way I thought it was, that's okay. But it's like the quicker we can move on and just make things happen in that new potent direction that's actually fertile ground for us to grow whatever it is we want, the better. The more time you waste in an old situation hoping it changes, hoping it fixes. And again, with a lot of you guys, it doesn't feel like it's a horrible situation, like, oh my gosh, leave immediately, this is a nightmare. It feels like things are okay. But if okay isn't just good enough for you, if you're wanting great, if you're wanting amazing. I just heard the line from Change Your Life by Iggy Azalea, where she says, once you go great, you never go good, never go back, even if you could. So, and that's true. Whenever you like level up, you're like, oh no, I don't want to go back to that ever again. Once you are used to eating like amazing food, you're just not down for eating like mealy cafeteria food again. You know what I mean? So I feel like for you guys, you should be prepared that stepping into this, as scary as it might be, is going to help you level up, experience your dreams, experience a life of your dreams. Some of you guys have dreamed of this life, but you never thought it was going to happen, but it is going to happen. But you have to be bold enough to take those first steps. Again, I'm also getting images of like a kid being dropped off for the first day of college, and they're scared and they're crying and they're like, I don't want you to go. I want to go back, but they lean into college and have the most amazing experience of their life. They're willing to take that moment of discomfort. Sometimes that feeling of discomfort, that feeling of like, oh, I'm nervous, this is out of my comfort zone, that is the best indication that amazingness is about to happen, that your life is about to change for the better. I wish we could all just stay in our comfort zone, stay easy, and life would be great. But that's just not what happens. Some of the most miserable people in the world are people with like a lot of money, but they're just so bored, you know? So for you guys, I think this is about stepping into a very powerful energy, being bold, exploring, and welcoming in whatever life has for you, which I feel like is adventure. It's learning new things, discovering new things, tasting new things. And I'm so excited for you guys. And also, again, for some of you guys, that's a specific career message, some career you guys have been thinking about. And that's the one you guys are really supposed to try, as scary as it might seem. Stepping into that energy, not being scared, allowing it to happen, expecting the best, and stepping into it with bravery is going to be the key for you guys. Because Spirit is saying this desire is not going to go away. And some of you guys are stepping into the most powerful energy of your life by leaning into that, as frightening as it might feel in the moment. So go for it. Don't overthink it anymore. Go for it. So if you guys want to hear more of this reading, head over to my Patreon where I post the extended version of this. We go into more detail and clarity about your situation and get some more guidance for you guys. So that's up at my Patreon, link in my description if you want to join us over there. And if you really like this reading and want to get a one-on-one time with me, you can also head to the link in my description, briarrosetarot.com, and book yourself a half-hour or 1-hour session with me, and we can get all kinds of information for you guys. So I think we're pretty much out of slots for this month, but there's a few for next month. So definitely get your appointment in, get it scheduled, and we'll get you in and get some clarity on whatever you guys want. And yeah, if you guys want to let me know how this resonated, I love hearing from you guys, love reading your comments. Make sure to give this reading a big thumbs up, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications on so you can find out as soon as I post. I'm sending you guys so much love and light. I hope you all have an amazing day and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey, pile 3, so if you guys picked this Angel Aura Quartz, this is going to be your reading. So today we're doing a Celtic cross spread for you guys, which is an old school way of reading tarot. And each of the positions means something different based on the location in the cross. And so it would be too much for me to explain each position up front, but I'm going to go through them as I read each card for you. And as we go through the reading, I'll show you really quickly the order we're going to read the cards in though. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like I said, I'll go through them, what each position means as we go into the reading. So starting off, you guys are in 8 of Wands energy right now. And I feel like for some of you guys, this might be something that you're trying to move forward at something. It feels like you've been working hard at it, or just working hard in general. And it feels like it's kind of never ending. Some of you guys might just feel like you're up against a lot of obstacles or a lot of stress, or even fighting or arguing, or like constant kind of annoyances, that kind of a thing. Or it could just be that you're pushing really hard at a certain career or at a certain thing. You're trying to work, you've been putting the energy in, but maybe you're not seeing it pay off. And for some of you guys, this might be just a constant life where you're feeling like you're just always having to push, always having to work. It's not working out, that kind of a thing. I can see that what is crossing you, the obstacle you're dealing with, is this 7 of Swords. So it may be that there are people around you who, I'll be honest, don't really like you, might be trying to sabotage you, might be being dishonest and lying to you. It is a dishonest energy. So it would indicate that whatever this is, maybe it's people who are saying one thing to your face, but another thing behind your back, or saying one thing, but doing another. Maybe they act like they like you, but they really don't. And this might be a kind of hidden source where you're like, why do I have such, why is all the work always coming to me? And you don't realize that like you have coworkers that are always sending it to you and kind of laughing about it together, you know, or like, why is just something not working out? And there's people around you that don't like you. It's not really a receptive ground. Like, why is every time I go to a family function, is everyone always arguing? And maybe, you know, they kind of resent you. Maybe they don't like you that much or something like that. It's hard to say because it's not a personal reading and I don't want to make anyone freak out, but I just feel like there is a deceptive energy here. Almost like some of you guys also might be involved in careers where there's sneakiness kind of required, or there's like navigating, you know, people having to constantly jockey for position, competition, that kind of a thing. So I can see that what is beneath you guys and what's underpinning this is the 2 of Swords. And so there may have been some indecisiveness. There may have been a decision that you made the wrong choice, or you just feel torn and you didn't feel able to act, or you weren't sure how to approach this situation. Like, it feels like for some of you guys, whatever the situation was, I'm seeing kind of a vibe of like it just happened, like something that you didn't necessarily actively choose, but like it just kind of fell into place that way. And then you were like, okay. And it almost feels like for some of you guys, you've been thinking on this situation for a while, but been unable to reach a decision. Maybe you already feel this energy of, you know, the Seven of Swords, of the deception, of the, I don't know if they really like me. Yeah, they're friendly, but I'm just not getting that good vibe. And you've kind of known something was off, but you've been torn about, how do I proceed? What am I supposed to do? And very in your head about that. And almost like you might have had an intuition, but then in your mind, you're like, I don't know. You're going back and forth mentally about this, because the swords are a mental card. So it can show overthinking, especially with the two of swords. And then we can see the energy you're leaving behind over here in the fourth card is also the Two of Wands. So also a card of making a decision and kind of trying to plan. But what's interesting about that is I feel like that's reversed. And so you guys are going to finally put that in the past of being unable to decide. It feels like you guys are going to step forward into deciding to do something really boldly, and to not just be kind of wringing your hands and in your head and worrying, but to like be like, I've got to do something about this. I've got to take action. And with the Two of Wands, I don't know if, well, I'm getting a vibe with some of you guys. This might be a move, because when it's combined with the World card, and that's going to be your future energy, it's making me think move or something like that, or switching jobs, or some kind of a big change. Almost like, you know, where you're at right now is not fertile ground. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, you're wanting to be happy. I can see that what crowns you guys is the Six of Cups. And even though it's reversed, I'm feeling like for a lot of you guys, that might be why it's reversed, is you're reminiscing about your past. You're thinking back about a time when you were happy. You're thinking back about a time when things were easy and things flowed and you felt joyful. This might have been a time, like I said, in your past. You might have been younger, and that might have been a part of it. It might have been like a youthful, amazing trip, or like, oh, I was so happy in my hometown before I moved when I was, 18, or when I went off to college, or I was so happy in college. Something about you guys reminiscing about a different time in your life and wishing you could recreate that. It feels like this might be a time of high stress, and you're kind of parsing back through your memories and thinking like, when was I happy? When did I feel good? And Spirit is kind of saying that's not necessarily a bad thing. With the What Crowns You card, that can be something that's very positive that we should pay attention to. So for you guys, actually, though, a lot of times people would take the Six of Cups as kind of unhealthy, reminiscing about the past. For you guys, they're saying follow that kind of trail. Think about, yeah, I was happy back then. And that's not irrelevant. That is something to pay attention to. I can remember there was a time in my life when I was really busy, and I would always think about this time when I kind of had more time to myself and whatnot. And even though I think a lot of people would have thought that I was like having this great life, I really kept thinking about like when things were calmer. And honestly, I was just thinking the other day, I'm so glad I kind of followed that arrow and followed that line of thinking. And I didn't just dismiss it and say like, oh, you're just reminiscing. That's just how it always is. Because I really feel like I needed to get out of that situation that I was in. Not that there was anything necessarily bad about it, but for me, it wasn't my highest and best version of myself. It wasn't what I think, for me, why I came to this planet, or whatever kind of ideal life for me personally that I wanted to live. Even though other people might have thought like, oh, this looks like a great life. It looks like so much fun. But for me, I wanted a little more quiet, and I knew it was going to make me happier. And for whatever that is for you, it might be the opposite. It might be like, life is really quiet right now. I want some activity. I want some action. But whatever it is, I don't think it's something to just dismiss. I think sometimes, yes, we all can run the risk of romanticizing the past and being like, oh, the good old days. And, maybe there were things about that were really a horrible period in your life and you're glossing over that. But I think you should think critically about that. Was there something that made me happy? What's missing in my life now that I could recreate from that era? Is there something back then that I think sometimes this comes up even with love relationships. When someone can't get over an ex, it's like, are you in love with them? Are you in love with the person you were back then, or the lifestyle you had with them, or the fact that maybe they were your main social contract, so you were going out a lot with them and it was fun for you? And maybe a way to solve that is to go out with friends now and to form more social contracts, and it's not necessarily anything to do with their energy. You know what I mean? But whatever the answer may be, I think a lot of you guys need to think about that, and think about that time in your life that keeps coming to your mind of like, oh, that was really great. That was really lovely. Some of you guys might have had a dream from childhood or something that you wanted to do in your life that like you've dismissed now, and it would actually be something that would make you really happy. And you might not even be actively thinking about it. It might be in the very back of your mind, or something that you would never actually like put into effect or really think was a possibility for you. But I'm hearing from spirit, it is. There's something that can make you a lot happier than where you are now, because for some of you, it feels like you're kind of going through the motions right now. Then we have the world reversed, and that's for your near future. So again, I'm getting a moving vibe. I'm getting for some of you guys that you're either traveling or moving. Some of you guys, it might be a far move. It might be somewhere that you kind of didn't think was ever going to happen, or, it was on your bucket list. Like you were always interested in going to Zimbabwe, but you never thought you could actually move there. And you always like loved it as a kid and would read about it, and now there's a chance, or Belize, or Germany, or wherever, for some of you guys, maybe it's moving back to like a hometown or somewhere that made you happy. Or maybe you're like living in the big city and life is really busy, but you've always wanted to live in nature. Or you live in nature and you always wanted to live in the big city. Whatever this is for you guys, I think you need to, like I said, follow that thread, because I do feel like a lot of you guys are going to make a move, either actually moving places where you live or moving jobs. It could be like you wanted to do a certain field, you wanted to do a certain career path, but again, there's some kind of a logical brain turning on. I hate when that happens, right? I hate when I see that in readings, when someone's overthinking. Like, sometimes you need to trust that divine intuition, that divine little piece of your heart that just likes things for the sake of it. That's what's so pure about kids, is they don't feel the need to like explain or justify. I think so much of the time as adults, like you'll notice people edit their likes and dislikes based on like what the crowd is going to think or what the crowd is going to say. So whenever someone asks like, what's your favorite movie? No one's just going to say like something really kind of lame. Like, I don't know, oh, Dumb and Dumber or something. Nothing against that movie, but I'm trying to think of something that someone would find really cringe. Like, it totally depends on where you live, where you're from, the culture around you. But if no one's going to say something like, oh, I really love the Mary-Kate and Ashley films from like the 90s. I just think they're like works of art to me. They're like amazing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you'd be made fun of, whatever that may be. I can't really think of something that's fully like 100% everyone would say it was lame. But most of the time when people get asked, what's your favorite movie? It's like, oh, a Tarantino film, or like, oh, I really love this documentary, because we all know that that gives us like social respect, and that people are going to laugh if we say like some funny like rom-com from the 2000s. You know what I mean? So instead it's like, oh, I like this intellectual art house film that, yeah, it was only released in 300 theaters, but it's really good, to try to get that kind of clout and that acceptance from people, and to seem smart and whatever. And kids are so not like that. Kids just say, oh, I like this. I want a Barbie. They don't think like, oh, it's lame to like Barbies. I shouldn't ask for that. I should ask for something cool. They like what they like. And I feel like that's that pure enthusiasm that we get about certain things that no one else, people might not understand it. They might think it's lame. It's funny because I started this channel with the fake food just because I like fake food. I never thought anyone else was going to ever like fake food at all, because my family would always tease me that I would always like, if we were at a real estate open house or something, I'd always like look at the fake food. I've always thought that was just an odd thing for me, but so many people also liked it. Or when they saw I liked it, they were like, oh, that's so cute. That's an example of like, when you just like something, not everyone else has to get it. You know what I mean? In the end, a lot of people will see your enthusiasm and maybe they like the same thing. Maybe they also like fake food, but they never like met anyone else who was who was into it, or maybe they didn't like it before, but when they see you liking it, your enthusiasm is going to bring out their enthusiasm. So there's so much to be said for just not getting in our heads about something, and to really lean into those little things that bring us joy, and those little things that make us feel happiness and amazingness in the moment. And so I'm also brought to mind of like this Shel Silverstein poem that I'm going to read to you guys really quick. That's about following your interests. That feels basically content. It feels good. It feels like you're doing something important and you're living out a sense of purpose that is really, I think, nothing can compare to. The Greeks called it eudaimonia, which is kind of that feeling of serving something greater than yourself and feeling content in what you're doing, not just because of a momentary pleasure, but just you enjoy doing that one thing for the sake of it, you know? And I feel like for a lot of you guys, whatever this is about creating a life that's aligned with that, whether it's friends that you have to change, career, living situation. I just feel like there's something that is not working and it needs to be switched and changed. And you need to realize that you can choose your destiny at any moment. You are not locked into one life. It's not like, oh, well, you lived your life, so now you're stuck. Like you moved to moved to like Alaska and now that's where you have to stay for the rest of your life, or you moved to New York and that's where you have to stay for forever. So, too bad. We can change at any time in history. No one has had the ability to change, to be able to move across the world at the drop of a hat, to be able to buy a cheap plane ticket, to be able to find a new career, you know, by searching online and never even leaving their room, you know. So it's like we have so much power, so much opportunity to change our life. And if we're not living our purpose right now, what are we doing? Also think of how many people also like with ancestors, like have had ancestors stuck in difficult situations that they could never get out of, you know? I know for me, like as a woman, just talking to my grandmother, even like there were things she could not do that just weren't an option. And she's kind of still in awe, like, oh, I can't believe you girls nowadays can do this stuff. You know, think of how much they might have loved to be able to have the opportunities to do the things that we're able to do freely nowadays, to choose to go where we want to go, to live the kind of life we want to live. It's not always easy, but we have those options, and it's nothing to waste or to take lightly, because life is limited and it doesn't go on forever. So if we're not doing stuff that makes us happy, what are we doing? And I mean really happy. I mean joyful. I mean not just like, oh, I feel happy once in a while on the weekend when I go out with my friends, but then it's back to work and I hate my job and I hate my life. Or I like my job, but I really hate my personal life. I don't have a personal life. I like working hard, but I don't really do anything else, and it's just really exhausting. You know what I mean? That's not real happiness. Spirit wants us to have everything, to have it all. And so I feel like a lot of you guys, this is like your hopes and fears. So we got the Knight of Swords reversed and the Hermit reversed. So for some of you guys, maybe there's a fear of putting yourselves out there. Maybe some of you guys have even a fear of really linking up with someone and kind of getting hurt. Maybe with the Hermit reverse being there, you're kind of like, I just want to stay a little closed off. I don't want to be involved in the world and have this potential to be hurt. And also with the Knight of Swords, it might be that you're afraid of all the work this is going to take, all the paperwork, all the documents, because that's sword energy. So, you know, having to get all your information lined up and all your documents together, or the logistics of organizing everything. But it's like, that's the price to pay, I guess, you know, because I feel like it's just not working right now. So you've got to do something else. I hate to quote Dr. Phil, but he always says, how's that working for you? And it is a good thing to ask yourself once in a while, is this working for me? Why not? What can I change to make it work? Is there something else I could do that's makes me happy? I think so many people feel like stuck in their, when I do private readings and stuff, it's like amazing how many people will just feel stuck. And sometimes I'm just like, you could do this. And they're like, oh my God, you're right, I could. And it's like, it doesn't even occur to them, because we get so stuck in our lives. We get so stuck in that day-to-day of like, I have to do this. I have to go here. If I don't do this, this is going to happen. But it's like, I just heard in my mind, let it fall. And it's from some song, I can't remember which one, but it's like sometimes you've just got to let it fall, you know, like just let, also a line from one of my favorite poems, things fall apart, So I think that, yeah, sometimes it's good to let things in your life just kind of, okay, that poem is not really about that, but it's not about like, oh, just, it'll be fine. But I think sometimes you have to let things go. And like, if it doesn't work out perfectly, that's okay. At least you're freaking living. I can look back at some of my best experiences that were the most invigorating of my life. And it wasn't like everything was perfect. It wasn't like everything was smooth sailing. But I think in this pile, you guys need to feel more invigorated, alive, absorbed with things. And I do think that that's going to be the energy you end up with this being the lightly outcome card, the Knight of Wands. So it feels like sooner or later, you guys are going to step into this energy of really feeling alive and invigorated. And if you're living somewhere you don't like because, well, I have to live here because it's close to my parents and I know I've always dreamed of moving to, I don't know, California, or I've always dreamed of moving to the South, but I can't because my parents are blah, 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 and they would get upset if I wasn't close. It doesn't, that's not how to make up your decisions. I'm not saying you should abandon people. Like I don't know everyone's individual situation, but your life is yours to live. Like spirit didn't put anyone on this planet to just be some helpmate for someone else and just to kind of like, oh yeah, you don't really get a full life. You're just kind of like a half life for this person, and you just kind of hang out here and just kind of wait around them. Like that's not how God works. Okay, so we all were put on this planet to have a beautiful life that feels basically content. It feels good. It feels like you're doing something important and you're living out a sense of purpose that is really, I think, nothing can compare to. The Greeks called it eudaimonia, which is kind of that feeling of serving something greater than yourself and feeling content in what you're doing, not just because of a momentary pleasure, but just you enjoy doing that one thing for the sake of it, And I feel like for a lot of you guys, whatever this is about creating a life that's aligned with that, whether it's friends that you have to change, career, living situation. I just feel like there's something that is not working and it needs to be switched and changed. And you need to realize that you can choose your destiny at any moment. You are not locked into one life. It's not like, oh, well, you lived your life, so now you're stuck. Like you moved to like Alaska and now that's where you have to stay for the rest of your life, or you moved to New York and that's where you have to stay for forever. So, too bad. We can change at any time in history. No one has had the ability to change, to be able to move across the world at the drop of a hat, to be able to buy a cheap plane ticket, to be able to find a new career, by searching online and never even leaving their room, So it's like we have so much power, so much opportunity to change our life. And if we're not living our purpose right now, what are we doing? Also think of how many people like with ancestors, like have had ancestors stuck in difficult situations that they could never get out of, I know for me, like as a woman, just talking to my grandmother, even like there were things she could not do that just weren't an option. And she's kind of still in awe, like, oh, I can't believe you girls nowadays can do this stuff. Think of how much they might have loved to be able to have the opportunities to do the things that we're able to do freely nowadays, to choose to go where we want to go, to live the kind of life we want to live. It's not always easy, but we have those options and it's nothing to waste or to take lightly because life is limited and it doesn't go on forever. So if we're not doing stuff that makes us happy, what are we doing? And I mean really happy. I mean joyful. I mean not just like, oh, I feel happy once in a while on the weekend when I go out with my friends, but then it's back to work and I hate my job and I hate my life. Or I like my job, but I really hate my personal life. I don't have a personal life. I like working hard, but I don't really do anything else and it's just really exhausting. You know what I mean? That's not real happiness. Spirit wants us to have everything, to have it all. And so I feel like a lot of you guys, this is like your hopes and fears. So we got the Knight of Swords reversed and the Hermit reversed. So for some of you guys, maybe there's a fear of putting yourselves out there. Maybe some of you guys have even a fear of really linking up with someone and kind of getting hurt. Maybe with the Hermit reverse being there, you're kind of like, I just want to stay a little closed off. I don't want to be involved in the world and have this potential to be hurt. And also with the Knight of Swords, it might be that you're afraid of all the work this is going to take, all the paperwork, all the documents, because that's sword energy. So, having to get all your information lined up and all your documents together, or the logistics of organizing everything. But it's like, that's the price to pay, I guess, because I feel like it's just not working right now. So you've got to do something else. I hate to quote Dr. Phil, but he always says, how's that working for you? And it is a good thing to ask yourself once in a while, is this working for me? Why not? What can I change to make it work? Is there something else I could do that's makes me happy? I think so many people feel like stuck in when I do private readings and stuff. It's like amazing how many people will just feel stuck. And sometimes I'm just like, you could do this. And they're like, oh my God, you're right, I could. And it's like, it doesn't even occur to them, because we get so stuck in our lives. We get so stuck in that day to day of like, I have to do this. I have to go here. If I don't do this, this is going to happen. But it's like, I just heard in my mind, let it fall. And it's from some song, I can't remember which one, but it's like, sometimes you've just got to let it fall, like just also a line from one of my favorite poems, things fall apart, So I think that, yeah, sometimes it's good to let things in your life just kind of, okay, that poem is not really about that, but it's not about like, oh, it'll be fine. But I think sometimes you have to let things go. And like, if it doesn't work out perfectly, that's okay. At least you're freaking living. I can look back at some of my best experiences that were the most invigorating of my life. And it wasn't like everything was perfect. It wasn't like everything was smooth sailing. But I think in this pile, you guys need to feel more invigorated, alive, absorbed with things. And I do think that that's going to be the energy you end up with this being the lightly outcome card, the Knight of Wands. So it feels like sooner or later, you guys are going to step into this energy of really feeling alive and invigorated. And if you're living somewhere you don't like because, well, I have to live here because it's close to my parents, and I know I've always dreamed of moving to, I don't know, California, or I've always dreamed of moving to the South, but I can't because my parents are blah, 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 and they would get upset if I wasn't close. That's not how to make up your decisions. I'm not saying you should abandon people. Like, I don't know everyone's individual situation, but your life is yours to live. Like, Spirit didn't put anyone on this planet to just be some helpmate for someone else and just to kind of like, oh yeah, you don't really get a full life. You're just kind of like a half life for this person, and you just kind of hang out here and just kind of wait around them. Like, that's not how God works. Okay, so we all were put on this planet to have a beautiful life, but a life that is our own. It might not be what our parents would choose. It might not be what our grandparents would choose. It might not be what our siblings, friends, whoever would choose. Teachers, doesn't matter. It's for us to choose. It's for us to decide. It's for us to pick what makes us happy. And like I said, I think that's why I love that Shel Silverstein poem, Masks, is because I think so much of the time people hide those things that make them special, that brings them joy, when they really could show that part of themselves off, be a little vulnerable, and they'd be probably amazed at how many people identify with the same thing, have been through something similar, feel the same way, are in the same kind of tribe, so to speak, And so I think that there's nothing more amazing than taking that bold step to align yourself with what truly makes you feel good. And for a lot of you guys, I think you are supposed to kind of parse through the past. What did you dream of when you were a little kid? What kind of a life did you envision for yourself or want for yourself? And not just those kind of checklist things of like, okay, I want to be married one day, or I want to be a doctor, that didn't necessarily come from your heart. I think a good thing to think about is like, what did I spend my time doing as a kid? Not just what did I dream of, but sometimes that could be a lesson too. If you wanted to be a doctor, why? Did you want to help people? Is there another way to help people? If you wanted to be I don't know, a ballerina, why? Did you want to perform? Did you want to dance? Maybe there's ways for you to dance in your free time, just as like a hobby, or maybe there's something you're being called to be in the spotlight for, whatever the answer might be for you. It's really important to dive down deep into your soul and think about the things you wanted in your past and what that was, and whether the life you're living now is in alignment with that, because there's no wrong answer, except if you're like doing horrible things that hurt people, but there's really no wrong answer as long as you're living in a place of light and of goodness and not hurting anyone. It's like it's like, it's fine to do whatever you want. It's fine to be a librarian. It's fine to be peach grower or a writer, but not thinking about it through the lens of what is other people going to say? What are other people going to say? What are people going to think? What is society going to say? I feel like a lot of you guys, like, societal approval doesn't make anyone happy. Fitting into someone's box, because I feel like a lot of you guys know that with the Seven of Swords. Like, you're already doing things to appease people is what Spirit is telling me, and yet they still don't like you. That's the thing, they still don't like you. So who cares? Take that as a freeing moment of like, why am I even trying to entertain these people? I don't even like them. So who cares, And let me go do something that I am aligned with that does make me feel good, link up with people that will get me. Because not everyone's going to like you. As I always like to say, not everyone likes caviar. So, I'd rather be the caviar that's like an acquired taste rather than like the, I don't know, potato chips that everyone eats. Not that, I mean, potato chips are delicious too, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of foods that are just everyone eats, like white bread or something, but it's not that flavorful. When you get into the flavorful territory of like, I don't know, kimchi or really like green oniony, garlicky, gingery kind of foods. Those are my favorites. I love those foods that like kind of make your mouth pucker a little and like have an intensity, but a lot of people don't like that stuff, but you could serve someone some plain old bread with, some boring sauce on top, like some boring spread on top, some mayonnaise or something, and people will like that all day long. But what it is to me, I like to taste the things that are really interesting, that are really delicious and kind of make you think. And yeah, not everyone likes that stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, gross. Ew, I can't believe you like intense olives or something like that, So be unafraid to be that intense olive, or to be that amazingly fermented kimchi that's been fermenting for like months, or whatever the case might be for you guys. But yeah, or that like super dark chocolate cake that is like so intense to eat that you kind of need to like pass out afterwards from all the sugar. That's what I want to be, that intensity. So anyway, let's get one more clarifying card for the outcome. We got Page of Pentacles. So it might be a new source of income. It very well might be a new job, or something about this switch, this transition might open your eyes to a new way of living that could bring you in a new income or a better financial situation as well, in some way. Let me get some oracle cards as well for you guys. Let me get some oracle cards, Spirit guidance for pile 3. Ascending the mountain, keep going forward. Begin now, take your first step. Gates of triumph, success expands in your life. I also feel like there's just a message that you guys are going to have this success no matter what. So don't stress too much about it. Don't stress too much about, like, even if you're in this situation right now with these people and you're kind of stuck for the moment and you're stressed about it, it's going to be okay. And I think you guys, the work you're putting in, because I can tell you're putting in a lot of work, you are going to reach success. But I also think you're going to really choose that, like, success when you're not really loving what you're doing, or you're not really loving your life, is when you see people do something crazy, like quit their job and just, give away all their possessions and go live somewhere. And you're like, I don't know if that's the best way you could have handled it. Maybe it is. For depending on the person, it might be. But sometimes when we can anticipate, I'm really getting fed up with this, then we can choose to do it in a way that's a little bit easier. Like, we can plan in advance, and maybe we don't reach that level of burnout where we're like, screw it, I'm giving away everything and going to move into into my car and just like something that's not really very planned. If we can be like, I'm really reaching level 10 and I'm just starting to get super burnt out, then we can start choosing, okay, how do I mitigate this? How do I make myself happy, but being conscious of the fact that, like, this has got to end and I need to transition out of this. So I feel like you guys are going to reach this success, whatever this is that you guys are working at, but also there is a message that it's time to start thinking about what truly brings you happiness in the moment, what truly puts a smile on your face. Because I think for a lot of you guys, that's just not, it doesn't feel like it's happening right now. And I think you're going to be surprised by how much sweeter your life is, how much happier you are, how much joy you get from this transition. I think some of you guys, it's like, don't be afraid to be bold with this. Don't overthink it too much. Start taking those steps. And if you know it's time, you know. I think all of us can think back to times when we kind of knew a situation was dead over maybe a relationship or something, when we were like in that relationship and we kind of knew like it was time to break up, but we still kept trying to make it work. We still kept hoping that the other person was going to change, that something was going to, it was going to be okay. We were going to be able to make it stay the same, but like that's not how spirit works. When spirit wants something gone, they're not going to change their mind. They're like, this needs to go for a reason, and it's to make you happier. So I think to pay attention to that early and to start transitioning to that early and to think about really deeply while we have time to plan and to what is going to make me happy, what's going to bring me joy. And it might be something a little bold, a little unconventional, and a little risky. I'm sensing an energy of risk, of like being involved in life, not sitting on the sidelines and kind of nervous and kind of unafraid, like afraid of like, well, if I do that, that's going to happen. Like I'm seeing someone kind of stuck and like they're like, okay, if I go that way, that's going to happen. If I go this way, that's going to happen. And they're kind of torn and unafraid they're like so afraid they can't really move. And I feel like for you guys, it's like, be bold and unafraid. Where would you go if you knew you were going to succeed either way? I'm guessing you'd go towards the riskier option that takes a little bit more out of you, is a little scarier, but is so much more vibrant and alive. And then that's your answer. So do what makes you feel alive, because this is not like a practice life. We are in it to experience things. So if you guys want to hear more of this reading, head over to my Patreon, where I post the extended version of this. We go into more detail and clarity about your situation and get some more guidance for you guys. So that's up at my Patreon, link in my description if you want to join us over there. And if you really like this reading and want to get a one-on-one time with me, you can also head to the link in my description, briarrosetarot.com, and book yourself a half-hour or 1-hour session with me, and we can get all kinds of information for you guys. So I think we're pretty much out of slots for this month, but there's a few for next month. So definitely get your appointment in, get it scheduled, and we'll get you in and get some clarity on whatever you guys want. And yeah, if you guys want to let me know how this resonated, I love hearing from you guys, love reading your comments. Make sure to give this reading a big thumbs up, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications on so you can find out as soon as I post. I'm sending you guys so much love and light. I hope you all have an amazing day and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey Pal 4, so if you guys picked this Amazonite crystal, this is going to be your reading. So today we are doing a traditional Celtic cross spread, which is a very old school tarot spread and great for getting specific information like this. So all of the cards placed have different meanings based on where they're located in the cross. And so it would be too much information for me to go over it right now, but I will go through it as we're doing the reading, and I'll show you guys the numbering really quickly, the order. This is number 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the order we're going to go in. And now let's dive right in. So I can see that your current situation and issue is the Fool reversed. So it feels like you guys might have a desire for a new start, but there's some resistance there. It's kind of like, you're feeling called towards something new, towards a new beginning, something that will be bold and exciting. But then at the end of the day, there's a little bit of fear or resistance to that. There's a little bit of like, no, I don't want to start new. I don't want to start fresh. I don't want to jump off this cliff, because that's what the actual Fool card shows, is someone literally stepping off a cliff because they trust that spirit is going to take care of them. But it's a very exciting card. On the original Rider Waite, it is showing, this excitement and this little dog barking by the side, and there's a sense of joy and expectancy. So for you guys, I feel like you're being called to something really bold, really special, really brand new. And your cross position is actually the Ace of Pentacles. So this might be a new business idea or a new way for you guys to earn money. that you have been being called to, but it's like you're too afraid. Or it might be something that might just require a lot of money for you, but it would be some kind of a practical idea. It would be some kind of an idea based in physical reality, like a way to make money. Or it could be, yeah, like I said, a new business, a new job is coming to mind, or something very practical, maybe like a big purchase or something like that. And it feels like there's a lot of fear coming through where, you guys are called to this, but then there's some resistance. We can see that the energy underpinning all of this is the Page of Wands and the Eight of Cups reversed. So kind of two contrasting energies, which makes sense. I feel like you guys, on one hand, you're excited for this with this Page of Wands, you're energetic about it, but then with that Eight of Cups reversed, you're also scared. You're also like, I don't want to leave this behind. This is pretty good. There may be that sense, and that can be what the Eight of Cups reversed means, is like, yeah, things are good, but you know you're supposed to leave, but you know, that's what the Eight of Cups really is about, is like, it's not like a horrible situation. It's not like this is a disaster of a situation, but maybe it's just not fulfilling you all the way. Maybe you're just not fully happy, you know, and you know there's something more. You can feel that calling towards something more. So I see this push-pull between you guys, feeling this excitement, feeling this call to adventure. And I just heard this is the beginning of the story, and I'm seeing an image of like an adventure type book, like showing someone setting off on a grand adventure, which is the image on the Fool. And so I feel like for some of you guys, like this is like a destiny moment. You should be excited about this energy, but you're a little bit scared. You're a little bit, you know, it's funny, in like the hero's journey type stories, there's always resistance to the call. That's a part of that archetype. There's always that fear and that initial, like, I don't want to do this, find someone else, not me. But I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is something Spirit is really wanting you guys to do. We can actually see that the energy that you guys are leaving behind is the Empress. The Empress is very restful. The Empress is someone who's very relaxed. They have a nice life. It might even be really abundant, but I feel like you guys are being pushed to try something brand new and to lean in towards something that might scare you a little bit, might be a little bit outside of your comfort zone. But I feel like Spirit is saying the time is now. The time is it's the time to be bold. It's the time to go for it. It's the time to not be afraid and to trust that Spirit will always protect us, and to trust that everything that's happening to us is happening for our greatest and highest good, even when it's hard to understand at that moment. That we come to this earth to experience different things. We don't come to sit on the sidelines and kind of watch things float by and just have an easy life and nothing really happens. We come to like be in the mix, to experience things, to be invigorated, to feel all the things, whether it's heartbreak, pain, love, joy, happiness, sadness, all of it. We're supposed to be right there feeling things, right? And so I feel like for some of you guys, maybe things have gotten a little bit boring. Maybe this is where you're starting to get this kind of itch. And it feels like you guys really want something new, but then your kind of fears get the best of you. Those fears start eating away at you. I think a lot of you guys kind of don't know how it's going to happen. You might have an idea that you're ready for something new, but there's kind of that lack of clarity, and we can see that with the Ace of Swords reversed being what crowns you. So I almost feel like there's a message from Spirit, because this is in the crown position, that actually it's kind of okay for you not to know. It's okay for you to not have full clarity on this situation at the time being. And that's kind of where the magic happens. I think so much of the time we want that Ace of Swords moment. We want that moment of clarity that just makes everything happen for us and makes everything clear. And as I like to say, I got this from Oprah, but the path appears, you know, where we're just like, that's it, that's exactly right. But I think so much of the time in life, we don't get to see all the way through. We just have to take one step at a time and trust that Spirit has got us. Trust that the things that are happening to us are leading us somewhere important, and that as long as we are trusting that little feeling inside that's kind of pointing us on our arrow, that's all that matters, and we'll get to the right destination. And it's okay if we don't see everything, the whole vision all the way. And I do feel like for you guys in your near future, you need to know that you are blessed. We got the Wheel of Fortune. That is the card of luck, of being blessed. It's the ultimate benefic. It's Jupiter energy. It's things being on your side, going your way. That's that golden energy where it just feels like everything is happening right for you. And so Spirit really wants you guys to have that blind faith, that blind trust, that we know that things are going to be okay, that even if something goes left, even if it doesn't happen the way you imagine, that it's all going to work out fine. That if we have that trust, if we have that boldness, if we pray and we ask our angels and our ancestors and our guides and everyone on the other side to help us, that things are going to work out for our advantage. And that, sometimes that fear and that anxiety that comes with doing something new, that uncertainty, it's a heck of a lot better than that boredom of staying in the same state energy and just staying stuck and just doing the same old thing day in, day out. That's why people love to go on vacation. They've literally found that like a different part of your brain turns on when you're like exercising in a new location. So like if you are exercising in your same old neighborhood, run down the same street every day, and you're going for your run and you just know every single house on the block by heart and everything, that's not going to activate that part of your brain. Your brain is almost on autopilot. You don't even notice your surroundings really. And it's also interesting that a lot of like car accidents end up happening close to someone's home, right? So I wonder if there's something to that. Maybe like your brain just shuts off and you feel so comfortable. You're just like, oh, it's fine. Because they say it's like kind of crazy. They all, like statistically, a lot of them happen within 2 miles of the home. So I'm sure a lot of that is just, the rate at which you're close to home is probably higher. But also I think there's something to be said for just like you feel comfortable, you feel in your zone, and you just you're not paying attention as much. When you're in a new environment, when you're in a new area, a different part of the brain turns on and you start noticing things around you. You start noticing like, oh, this is a new neighbor. Oh, that's a cool house. Oh, that's an interesting mural on that wall. I never saw that. But once you get used to that mural, you don't even probably notice it every day, and so there's something so valuable about pushing ourselves into that place of discomfort, even though it doesn't necessarily feel good. It feels a lot easier to just sit inside, sit on the couch, not really do anything, not really push ourselves. It takes a lot more effort to go out there, to be bold, to experience things, and to try something new. And I feel like a lot of you guys are being called to that in some way. And I do feel like for a lot of you guys, this might have to do with career because of the Ace of Pentacles and also the Page of Pentacles reversed down in your current energy and what you're at now. So I feel like some of you guys, you've had this idea and it might have to do with a career or something like that, some kind of material thing, because Pentacles are all kind of based in this physical reality. So money and kind of even literally like physical living situation or all those things are pentacle energy. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, this would be your career or something you're kind of trudging along at, committed type energy. And it kind of needs to be a little bit disrupted. It kind of is like, why not chase this new insight? Why not chase this new special idea that Spirit has given you? Why are you resistant if you have, a beautiful vision that Spirit has given you, a gift from the divine, where Spirit is allowing you to step into this very special Jupiter energy where all things are on your side and you're having a vision and a gift from above. That's something to take really seriously. That's something for you guys to not just dismiss and leave, and just kind of forget about and put it in the back of your mind. That's something for you to really take as a big deal. If someone gave you like a brand new car, you wouldn't dismiss it. Well, maybe this is your opportunity for a brand new car or a bunch of brand new cars, right? Depending on how successful this could be. If it is a new business idea and it could lead to you having a ton of success, then why would you dismiss it? Why would you just kind of be like, no, I can't do that. No, that's too much for me. I don't know about that. Again, I feel like some of you guys are overthinking this. You want that clarity. You want to know for sure that everything's going to be fine, that everything's going to work out, that you're definitely going to get success. And Spirit is saying, I don't want to give you that. I want to know that you trust me. I want to feel your certainty. I want to feel your faith, your blind trust, knowing that it's going to be okay. I can see also that you guys are in an environment with the Nine of Wands. So it might be pretty competitive. You might be surrounded by competition and that's why you're kind of unhappy. The situation around you is competitive. And this thing that you have coming to mind, this new idea, could place you leagues out of the competition. Maybe you're trying to compete in a field and there's something you could tweak or do that would just completely blow everyone else away. And you've had this idea, a divine download from spirit, and for whatever reason this fear is playing up, this indecision, and I really feel like spirit wants you to push past that. I can also see with your hopes and fears, some of you guys are dreaming about a love relationship and you're really wanting that. You're really wanting someone to come in that you can really merge with and have that soul connection with. So that's kind of not really related to the other cards, but I guess a lot of you guys that's on your mind. You're hoping for that. So maybe there's something about this that can lead you to that. Maybe something spirit is bringing up is like, sometimes when people want a love relationship, but they're not willing to take those actual steps to achieve it. So as I always joke, who are you going to fall in love with? The Amazon driver if you never leave your apartment, or if you never take that risk, if you're never bold. So yeah, I think some of you guys, you keep looking for answers on certain situations, and spirit is just like, maybe you're watching a bunch of like love pick a cards, and you know, I always love for people to watch all my pick a cards, but maybe the message is, again, just trusting, just having that faith, just accepting that something new can come in and that life can be so good. I think having that expectation that good things come to me, good things are always happening for me. I'm just so lucky. I'm the luckiest person I know. Wow, I always win. Everything works out in my favor. Saying those things and letting them soak into your mind. Everyone loves me. Everyone is on my side. Everyone, I just always have the best luck of anyone I know. Everything works out for me. Saying those things and just integrating them into your mind, I think, is something spirit wants you guys to do. Not being so pessimistic or trying to really get your head around certain situations and really overanalyze them, but just kind of relaxing a little bit. And I can see that the likely outcome is a court card of the Knight of Swords. So also, that might be a new romance. I mean, I don't always interpret court cards that way, but with it coming up above the Two of Cups, if you're really wanting that, it might be a romantic relationship with a Knight of Swords energy, someone who's highly intelligent, really smart, probably has a million different fun interests, probably is, you know, into maybe like different nerdy things or fun things. So if you are wanting that kind of clarity about love, then know that it is going to come in and you will get it. If you are like, no, I'm the business reading on this end, then I feel like that might be, you will get your clarity later. You will understand things later. I always think that, you know, life kind of makes sense when you look at it, I don't know, from the forward, when you look at it backwards or whatever I'm trying to say. When you look back on like a few years ago, suddenly everything seems to make sense, right? But when you're in it in the moment, none of it seems to make sense. It all seems like some random occurrence. And then you look at it later and you're like, oh, and it was that through that this happened, and then that through that happened. And it's kind of like when you're like doing needlepoint, or if you've ever made a rug. I don't know if I'm the only person who's done that, but when you are like threading each thing into each hole, or you're putting a puzzle together, you can't really see the big picture. You know, you can only see what you're doing in each color at a time. You can only see like, okay, this thread goes here and it looks like a big mess. But then you pull out once it's finished and you're like, oh, it's beautiful. But in that moment, it's really hard to see kind of what are we doing? What are we making here? So I really feel like Spirit wants you guys to stop being in your head and just to trust. And a lot of you guys, if you're being called to start a business or do something in physical reality in some way, I feel like you guys really need to push yourselves on that. You really need to take that. When Spirit gives you divine wisdom, when Spirit puts something in your heart that is something you can hear and only you can hear, that's something to be taken so seriously. And if some of you guys are really frustrated with this Nine of Wands energy and you're like, why am I always in competition with these people? Why am I just always having to fight for this so much? A lot of times it's kind of stepping out, doing something new that will give you that advantage. Like how many times have people invented something and everyone at the time was like, what is this? This is crazy. This isn't going to do anything. You know, like if someone had told you about a computer in 1970 and like I'm going to start a computer business. You probably would have thought like, okay, good luck. No one's buying a computer. They're super expensive. And now cut to if you had opened that business, and so everyone has basically like a laptop or a computer. Most people do nowadays. So you'd have so much more money if you had invested in it. But a lot of times people wouldn't see that vision that everyone could have a computer or the iPhone, all these different things. I want to get more clarification on the outcome, Spirit. What's the outcome? Okay, so we got King of Wands. Okay, so this definitely could be romantic. If you were coming into this like, I want a love reading, she never does love readings anymore or something, then this could be that you are going to have that amazing romance that you guys really want. This could be that you're not going to be alone anymore as the Empress. Not that she's like alone and lonely. It's definitely not. She is Venus energy. But for you guys, you might be having this sexy person come in that is that King of Wands combined with the Knight of Swords. So beauty and brains, we love that. Smart but sexy, love it. But yeah, someone who is pretty bold, I feel like, talkative. It feels like they are full of life. They are invigorating. I feel like they kind of have a lot of, I don't want to say opinions on things, but like ideas, and they're very forceful, coming in with like a lot of energy. So if that's something you guys are wanting and you're wanting this to be kind of a love situation, it definitely could be. It definitely could be Spirit saying to lean into that. But again, if it's not happening right now, don't be worried about it and freaking out and thinking like, oh, it's never going to happen. Be thinking about, how can I make myself even more beautiful? How can I make myself feel better? And how can I just trust? Because I think however this situation is for you, for a lot of you guys, you just need to learn how to trust and to go along with it. You just need to learn how to constantly tell yourself as a mantra, it's all working out in my favor. Everything that happens is for my greatest and highest good. And then trusting the downloads. That's the major key part. A lot of people, they don't trust the downloads. They feel like they get an insight from Spirit and they dismiss it. They think, oh, that's crazy. Why did I think that? Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, why would I do that? Well, that's kind of a weird idea. Where did that come from? It came from Spirit. Hello. Whenever you have an idea that like really, I mean, there's also other forces on the astral plane and stuff, but you know, when you are asking your angels and talking to them regularly, especially praying regularly, is a great practice to go into, because that's talking to your angels and stuff, talking to Spirit, and you know you're in touch with that side of things, and you know you're in touch with creatures of the light, then you know you can trust those downloads that they give you, and you're doing protective stuff as well to protect, so that only the light can come in. Then trust those intuitions you have, because those are special gifts for you from your angels. You know, if you want clarity on a certain situation or what you should do in the moment, ask your angels for like, what should I do? And they'll find funny ways of like giving you messages. I had like, I was thinking of doing this certain thing, and it's so funny. I saw this guy walking down the street with a shirt saying that exact thing that I was thinking of. I don't want to say what specifically, but it was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And so it's funny how Spirit will work, how they'll give you the most specific messages, but you know, you got to call upon them. You've got to ask them for that wisdom, for that guidance. And then you've also got to trust, because when I saw that guy wearing the shirt, it didn't have like also additional text saying, you know, exactly how it was going to happen and go here and do that. And it's going to look like this. It just was that little piece of information that gave me that confirmation that I needed. It wasn't the whole thing. And that's the thing, is we don't really get to see all of it. We just have to trust one piece at a time. So if there has been a business idea that's been kind of floating around in your mind that Spirit has brought to you, take that as a message from them. Take that as something very special and important. And I feel like you guys are ready to leave this energy behind. You're ready for something new. You're ready for something fresh. And Spirit is calling to you for that. Spirit is saying it's time. Welcome in this new energy. Why stay in the stagnant energy? The Fool is such a holy, special card, because it's all about trusting and bringing in the new and expecting the best and being willing to take that jump off that cliff that they show in the Rider-Waite card, of someone just beginning a brand new adventure and that exultant joy. So I feel like for you guys, you need to reframe this. If you're feeling that call of like starting something new, trying something new, going somewhere new, don't doubt it. Step out of your comfort zone and be willing to do that. Let me get more cards for you guys. So can we get some clarity for pile 4's situation, Spirit? We got power, okay. Security. And I almost feel like there's a message that right now you guys are in a secure place, but it feels like there's something so much better for you. Trust. I just knew that was going to come out. And new beginnings. Trust the new beginnings and trust that you'll be okay no matter what, because I do feel like this is like more. This isn't an energy of like, okay, you have to give this up and we're coming into like all this pain, but you're going to have to go through it. I don't feel like that. Like, I feel like this is going to be exciting and amazing and something bold and special and fun for you guys. But it is kind of like Spirit testing you, if I can get the word out, testing you to see about your trust, to see how much you guys are willing to kind of close your eyes. And as I always like to say, let Jesus take the wheel, but because that's the song name. But if, you know, it doesn't have to be Jesus, if depending on your religion, but, you know, letting Spirit take that wheel and letting Spirit decide and knowing and putting your faith in them. They love that because, you know, for them, that's so, it's kind of like when someone is like, you know, very trusting about like a little kid or something. If you're like, if someone's ever told you like, cook me whatever you want, I'll just eat whatever. I love everything you cook. You want to go out of your way and whip them up like a 5-course meal. You want to go out of your way and make sure that everything is freaking on point. If someone's like, I want you to make me, if you were like, hey, I'll cook for you to a friend or something, and then they were like, okay, I have this exact recipe. Don't mess it up. I want it to be perfect. I want you to measure everything out exactly. Please count the calories as you're making it and make sure it's exactly this. You'd be like, you know what? Never mind. We'll just order delivery. Yeah. And you can pay for it too. You know what I mean? You'd be like, I don't want to do anything for you. When they give that trust to you, like, you know, even if you wouldn't mind if they asked for a recipe, when they give you that blind trust and blind faith of like, no, I know it's going to be so good. You're so great at everything. You just want to go out of your way and make it extra special. And it's not to say that we just have to let Spirit kind of take us where it wants us. We can ask for things. We can put in our manifestations. We can be specific about like, I'd really like this kind of a thing. I'd really like this joy to come into my life in this way, this blessing. I want happiness, but also just being an energy of aligning, trusting, being positive, trying to keep ourselves in that high vibrational place. And sometimes you got to kind of climb down from that high vibrational place and handle things, right? Like, sometimes you've just got to. But I feel like for the most part, this is about proving that like you can, and I feel like some of you guys need to know that like you can stand on your own 2 feet. Maybe you had something traumatic happen to you, or you had some difficulties in the past and now you're like on edge, or you don't really trust yourself, or you don't really trust Spirit, or you're like, well, things aren't going to work out for me. I'm not lucky. I'm not a lucky person. Everything goes bad for me, or some kind of negativity. And Spirit's like, when did you decide that? Why can't you have a magical life? Why can't you have the most amazing stuff happen to you? And I feel like for you guys, this is about your mindset. This is about you guys expecting the best, staying positive, staying excited, and trusting and putting your faith in that you don't have to see the whole map. You just have to see one thing at a time. You know, it's like when you're driving to a destination, you don't get to see what it's going to look like necessarily on each street, right? You can only pay attention to like the street you're on at that moment. You can only see, okay, I'm on Main Street, there's a bunch of trees and there's some houses. You don't necessarily get to see where you're gonna like be at in 10 minutes time or 2 hours time or whatever. But you trust that if you put that destination in right, that you're gonna get there okay. So I think a lot of you guys just need to have a trust in this situation, and it is gonna work out. So let's get some more cards for you guys. Some of you guys are welcoming in a new love. See, begin now. Take your first step. Yes, the Spirit really wants you to lean into whatever this newness is. We also got rainbow blessings. Blessings are showering your life, and breaking trail, a breakthrough is at hand. So sometimes I think valiant courage. Take action with passion. Yeah, Spirit wants you guys to be kind of unafraid of whatever this is. Like, be bold about it. Because I also feel like what I'm getting a message is some of you guys, you ask for certain manifestations, but when they start coming in, you're like, oh God, oh, it's happening. And it gets really scary. And I mean, we've all been there. We've all wanted something, but then like, you're kind of like, you put it out of your mind, you're just kind of like relaxed, and then it suddenly comes in and you're like, oh wow, am I ready? I don't know. I wasn't really prepared. I wasn't really thinking it was going to happen like this. And like, wow. And you're kind of flummoxed, but the best thing you can do is go with it. It's kind of like riding a wave. The worst thing you want to do if you're riding a wave, if you're like surfing or something, is to like try to fight back against it, try to walk back. Like, I've body surf a lot and enjoy it, and it's like the worst thing you want to do is just, you know, try to like swim against the wave. That would never work. You have to just go with the flow, and then you can have this amazing experience. And sometimes I think we try to control things. We want it to look a certain way, to be a certain way. We want to figure out what's happening. We want it to be explained to us in spirit, by spirit, in very specific detail. Like, okay, so this is going to happen, then that's going to lead to that, and then this, and then it's going to happen like that way. But that's just not how spirit really works. Spirit will show us flashes of things that we need to know, and whatever it is all we need to know at the time for whatever reason. It's kind of like when you have like top secret confidential information and you can't, so like, I don't know if you were someone in charge of top secret information, maybe a scientist or something, you can't tell people everything, but you can show them like a little bit that they need to know. Or like someone will take back a letter from the government that's been redacted, and they'll redact all the information, but only leave like the key bits that was relevant to whatever court case or something. You know what I mean? That's kind of like how spirit talks to us sometimes, is like just giving us the main stuff. And if we can trust the main stuff and we can have faith in that, and we can understand that it's going to work out, we can keep that positivity, that alignment with like, everything's awesome, everything's good, then I think that's where the magic happens. But I feel like a lot of you guys, I've just heard get up off your bum, another word, but I don't want to say it on YouTube. But yeah, I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is about taking this action, being bold. We're leaving actually the Empress energy behind, not in a bad way, not to say you can't have wealth and abundance in the future, but I think for you guys with that, it's kind of like being relaxed, being too relaxed, not taking energy, not being kind of on almost like a throne away from everyone, just kind of looking out placidly. No, we want enthusiasm. We want you guys to be excited. We want you guys to be feeling things and invigorated and immersed in the world and actually living your life really well. So if something makes you a little scared, that can be an actual green flag. That's how you know you're really doing something special, cool, and important. So that's something we should lean towards, not against. So if you guys want to hear more of this reading, head over to my Patreon, where I post the extended version of this. We go into more detail and clarity about your situation and get some more guidance for you guys. So that's up at my Patreon, link in my description if you want to join us over there. And if you really like this reading and want to get a one-on-one time with me, you can also head to the link in my description, briarrosetarot.com, and book yourself a half-hour or 1-hour session with me, and we can get all kinds of information for you guys. So I think we're pretty much out of slots for this month, but there's a few for next month. So definitely get your appointment in, get it scheduled, and we'll get you in and get some clarity on whatever you guys want. And yeah, if you guys want to let me know how this resonated, I love hearing from you guys, love reading your comments. Make sure to give this reading a big thumbs up, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications on so you can find out as soon as I post. I'm sending you guys so much love and light. I hope you all have an amazing day and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.